On this episode of Taskforce Geek, we talk with GA Lungaro about his successful Kickstarter campaign involving Isidora Issue number 2. We catch up on Loki and give some predictions. We tell you about our picks for current comic series you should check out, and we review the super cool game Nemesis, and that's all coming up now. Welcome to Taskforce Geek. My name is Dirk Hooper, and tonight I am joined by Sean.
Yep.
And our guest, GA Lungaro.
How you doing? How you doing?
And together, we have Scott and Jen. How about that? What do you think about that, folks?
Good times, good times.
It's like the Hollywood Squares. For people who remember the Hollywood Squares.
That was a great show.
Hey, Walt is first. How is it that, jury is second, how is it that they haven't revisited Hollywood Squares?
Don't they?
I mean, they've done. I don't think so.
It's crap.
I think they had it in like the early 2000s.
Yeah. I think they've had other versions of it too, just not called Hollywood Squares, but they've had other similar stuff
Is J.J.
to it.
Bullock still alive? Because if so, there's a version of
God.
Hollywood Squares.
Walt says the Task Force Geek power couple.
Maybe the Task Force Geek only couple.
Right. No kidding.
Yes.
Well, we are broadcasting live from my Facebook account, which is that right there, and from YouTube. And I'm trying an experiment. I think I'm actually broadcasting on Twitter again.
Yay.
For some reason, because I saw someone broadcast the other day on Twitter, and I'm like, wait a minute, if they're doing it through StreamYard, I should be able to do it too. So we're on Twitter tonight, I think. There it is. Hey, if you're interested in T-shirts with that cool Task Force Geek logo, which is right over in Sean's quadrant there, then please check that out. Where the heck is it? Oh my gosh, I'll never find it. Oh, come on. Here we go. There it is. There's the long thing there. Basically, you can go to taskforce-geek.creator-spring.com, and then you can find everything. But all we have so far is that one logo. We will get a Spicy King thing up there and some other stuff too. I want a variant Task Force Geek shirt. What else we got? Walt says that Hollywood Squares last aired in 2004.
See, I said early 2000s.
I mean, how is it that, I don't know, maybe people just don't care. But I mean, like every dumb thing that you can think of has been resurrected lately in particular on primetime television for whatever reason. So I'm just surprised that Hollywood Squares hasn't made that trip. That's very strange. Hey, let's do our big feature. Here it comes. If I can find it. That's going to be one of those nights, folks. It's going to take a drink of stuff, but I don't have time. I gotta run this show. It wasn't long ago that we talked to GA Lungaro, and we talked about how did I spelled that completely wrong.
I didn't even see it. It went away too fast.
I put Isisdora.
Oh,
That's not right. Look at that. I corrected
There
on
we
the
go.
fly.
There we go.
It wasn't too long ago that we talked to GA Lungaro right before he launched the big Kickstarter campaign, and now it is fully funded, and he is blowing past the additional the bonuses and stuff.
That's
and
awesome.
Let's talk about that. Where are you sitting at right now?
Amazing. I mean, this morning it happened again. We were talking last night about how I went through it. We blew past the $5,000 milestone, so we're at 5,054 right now. So I had all these. I had 4 cards like from the original Well, these were the original ones from issue 1, these trading
Right.
cards. So I have 3 new cards being made with 3 different characters for this one, and also a spoof card of one of my friends. He goes by the name of Soy Rage, and we made a funny card with
Rage.
his face on there. Yeah, we made a funny card with his face on there. Says Soydora. So those 4 cards have all been unlocked already. So everybody who's backing it is getting those 4 cards with whatever tier they get.
Wow.
To where now I had to come up with another stretch goal on the fly this morning because I didn't expect it to happen that quickly.
Wow.
And I did put it up, and it's going to be a metal card. But it's amazing how quickly it's moved. Every time we go into any kind of crowdfund, you're always like hesitant. You're always worried. It's a roller coaster, right? It's like, how is this going to fly? How's it going to work? I have been, knock on wood, 3 for 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
Having 0 experience, I've gotten 3 for 3 on these. So it's been amazing. And this it's already past the first one. The first one ended at 4,500.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, and it literally took the whole month to hit 4,500. It sat at 2,000 for almost for basically 28 days. It went up to like 1,700 the first day.
Oh my God.
A couple
It
hundred
stalled out.
the second day, and then it stalled for the remainder of the campaign until the last day, like literally last 6 hours.
That must have been
it
a
jumped up.
gut buster.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it funded 10 days in. And now
awesome.
we're however many days in, and it's, already surpassed issue 1, and there's still 17 days left to go. So, good things on the horizon is what I'm seeing.
That is awesome. Let me put you up here, and then let's add this to the stream here. There is the Kickstarter right there.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it is, we've covered up the 2 on the bottom here. Let's do this.
There you go.
So anyway, you've gone over $5,000. That's not chump change. You're at 97 backers. That's also very impressive.
Yeah. It's work. That's what I tell anybody, because my editor ran a convention of sorts, if you will, about for writers and stuff like that, and she had me do a recording for a panel about crowdfunding for literary works. Because not a lot of people do, the novel side especially, I don't do it. My first one was a novel, and then I do 2 comic books. And it's literally, I started out with nothing. Nobody knew who I was. My YouTube channel just started the same month that I was launching my novel. So
you didn't really have a platform at all.
Nothing whatsoever. All I did was run a little contest giving away, at the time for the novel, it was Lord of the Rings, fantasy kind of related stuff. Did a little prize pack of like $125, ran like $150 worth of Facebook ads, and was able to get about 4,000 emails from the contest. Right. And then I paid for another contest that someone was running. It was a big multi-contest where a bunch of people put money in, so the prize can be big. And I paid like $100 or $125 for it. And that got me like another 4,000 emails from there. So when I started my book, I had 7,000 emails. And now when you think about stuff like emails like that, it's not about 7,000 backers. No. You're hoping for that 1 to 3% return.
That's what I hear.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So if out of 5,000, if I can get 50 backers, that's and if you try to average it out at that $50 per backer average, you got most of your campaign, depending on what your goal is, right there. So that's the big thing, is just starting out with that grassroots kind of building that email list and then growing from there. Now, I've been lucky that since I've had my YouTube channel since then, I've met some people and I could talk to some people and get on some shows here and there. But even then, it's not like I'm on a lot of the big ones. I'm still on small shows promoting it. Yeah.
What is it that you... I mean, look, this is your 3rd campaign. Mm-hmm. It's the 3rd successful campaign. If you had it all to do over again, what would you have done different from the beginning?
Made it simpler. My first campaign and the first comic book campaign, I tried to smash a lot of things in there that, as a new creator, there's not a fan base yet for. Like, I was putting T-shirts and stuff like that, and it's like, T-shirts come along when people recognize the IP, when they recognize the character, and you have a fan base of the character. So I was putting a lot of these things. I did the coins, which I still love. I'm glad I did. In retrospect, I'm glad I did them. I did these coins for the first campaign, but they weren't.
Let me put you up here so people can see that.
Yeah.
How
so
cool
these
is
are
that?
these coins has a Rubicon Comics logo and then like the yellow sign on the other side, and they're really cool. And they did go with the big pack. But
I love the coins.
Yeah, they were pricey to make, and I had these made and done before the campaign was even over. So I invested a lot of money in something like this it's a gimmick, but it wasn't like a huge,
It didn't
thing that
really
people were
push
looking for.
sales.
Right. Now, again, down the line, when there's more, knowledge of the IP and there's more bigger of a fan base, stuff like this and T-shirts will sell. But I think I did a little too much at the beginning, where I should have kept it, just did a kiss, technique. Keep it simple, stupid. Just to for the first campaigns.
Do you think that the content is the driver, or do you think there's something else? Maybe a strategy that you used with Kickstarter, or what do you think is the secret sauce?
Multi-pronged. Not one thing is going to do it. And you could do all of these things and do it all right and still fail. That's the thing when it comes to crowdfunding.
Yeah.
But it's the person who's running the campaign, whoever the creator is, whoever the face is, you have to have some kind of charisma. You have to have some kind of, you can't be shy. You can't be a wallflower. You have to kind of try to break out of that to be able to talk about the stuff you're trying to sell. Because you're selling yourself as much as you're selling the product. So you got to be able to come out of that shell if you have one and try to be, charismatic. The other thing is getting the right artist, right? Because no matter how great your idea, and if you're a writer, no matter how great it's written, if the art doesn't look great, doesn't catch your attention,
That's a
they're
killer.
not even going to look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the stuff that they like, if they like me, meaning my writing, they're not going to learn that until they actually get the comic and read it.
No.
So they need something to see before that to say, yeah, you know what? I'm looking into this. I want to pick it up.
I mean, let's be honest, art is king. Like you said, though, I mean, once you get the thing, if the story's not there, you're sunk on your next one.
Right.
For sure. I mean, what you want is something that's compelling enough where you go, I can't wait to pick up this next issue. I guarantee you, I can think of several Kickstarters that I've picked up on the strength of the art alone, and then I get it in my hands, and it's like, this is really poorly written. I can't pick it up again because I just can't, support this sort of thing.
I've talked about this so many times, and I feel it needs to be talked about, but I hate talking about it because it sounds like sometimes I'm like picking on artists when I'm not. But I think people, or at least artists, they're so excited. They have a skill, right? And they have wonderful art, and they want to get a book out. And they want to do it, obviously, if they're first starting, with the least kind of financial investment as possible, because they can't afford it. And most people can't afford to do this kind of stuff.
Heck yeah.
So if you're an artist, yes, you're investing your time, which is very, very, very valuable, obviously. But you're not investing any of your finances. You're not taking anything out of your bank. If your Kickstarter fails, you're not losing any money from your bank account.
Right.
Me, I'm paying artists and stuff ahead of time, so I'm putting a huge investment and risk into this every time I put the campaign out there. So, but with the artist is like, well, I want to not spend that much money. You know what? I got an idea. I'm just going to write this myself. And there's almost this mentality where they think writing is just like this, like the little stepsister of comic books. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's the art that's important. The writing, throw some words up there and it's fine. And it's like, no. That great art might get you the first book back, but then when they read it, like you just said, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I don't think I want to keep reading this."
Yeah.
Sounds like Image in the early years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we just talked. Actually, we just kind of took Sean and I took a trip down memory lane the other day. I was wondering when Image formed, and so he looked it up, and we started looking at what the first few issues were and what released
It's like,
first,
wasn't it like
second,
90,
third.
91, 92
It
or
was.
something like that?
For some reason, I thought it was
92.
around
92,
like the
right.
mid 90s or something. I was about 5 years off, and I think it's interesting now to look back. I mean, in some ways, Image changed the comic book industry.
Yeah.
In other ways, it also proved that you have to have a good story to stick around. And when you look at some of the stuff like that came out through Wildstorm or whatever, the art was amazing, but they had nowhere to go. They had all these great characters, but they had no story with the characters.
No.
And
Characters like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, those characters are iconic. While yes, you can look back and go and think about all these amazing artists that contributed, to these characters throughout the years, but they're iconic and still last today because of the stories that were around these characters and the mythos that grew around them. I mean that comes from story, not just
absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you go back and you look at those those early pulp stories, there wasn't really a whole lot of depth to them. They were just, let's go punch a crime boss in the face and stop some robbers, and I mean that was it. There wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a whole lot to them. Yeah,
I think it's kind of a, what's the right term, a secular or a circular thing where, like, for GA's example, he needs a good artist right now to sell his book, so somebody will read it, and then they'll start picking up stuff based just on GA's writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then later down the line, some novice, let's just say it's me, works for GA, and then somebody will be like, oh, this guy's not so good, but after like maybe 3 or 4 books, they can see that artist improving because they're only buying the book based off the writing. Right. And it kind of helps itself. But yeah, I mean, for the artist, for the writer needs the good artist kind of at first because it's a visual thing, and then later, I mean, there's many artists that I pick up because, like, maybe I buy a Donny Cates book or somebody, some writer that I'm following, and then I'm like, oh, I never heard of this guy before, and then you can see him improving and stuff like that, and then you end up following 2 people after they leave a book. I mean,
yeah,
see that often too. So like it. Don't worry, GA. You're going to help somebody else out.
I know, but it's something prevalent though in comic books. Because you think about stuff that's happened to people like Bill Finger and Steve Ditko. I mean, it's writers kind of got the short end of the stick a lot when it comes to comic books.
Yeah,
and,
they did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember this issue 1 of Sandman. I picked it up, and this was back when I was in high school and didn't have much cash. And I saw the art, and I think it was Sam Keith or whoever it was. It was just like, wasn't the right time for me. I was like, the art's kind of so-so. And what I missed out on was a #1 issue of a great writer.
Yeah.
And then eventually a great artist as, time went on. So, yeah, helps each other out.
Yeah, Sandman's a really good example of that. If, the first about 6 issues were kind of so-so, and then they figured out that they really had something there. Batman showed up in that first thing. They weren't really sure exactly what was going to happen at the beginning.
Well, that's before
of Sandman. And
That's that cameo they need.
Right. They put him in there because it's like, hey, if Batman's in there, people will pick it up. But it also, it ends up looking kind of silly now, that you look back. But they didn't know what they had at the time. I mean, you got to realize this was before Vertigo. This was, the creation of Vertigo. And anyway, I think that the people have debated what's more important, art or story, with comics since the beginning of time. And the fact of the matter is that both are important. I think the art is required for you to get your attention and to make you pick up the book. But once you take the book home and you read it, that story better be there or you're not going to pick up the next issue. And the depth of the story or the if the character is interesting and you want to know more about it, that is what will drive you to pick up that next issue.
Yeah, they are intertwined inextricably. There's no way you can take one without the other. And if you see one without the other, you could see the failings in that book if one of the two is not up to par.
Yeah. It really both has to be there. And I mean, going back to Image, the Image comics were amazing. I mean, they were dynamic, but there wasn't a lot of meat there. I mean, not entirely, but there was, some of them were just a pretty, pretty pictures.
McFarlane got better, but it took time. It took a lot of time.
It did.
Once they stuck with it, like I'd say McFarlane and Larson, over time, or at least had their good moments and stuff like that. And I think they would even admit that it was a lot harder to write those books than I mean, they might.
Especially if you're doing a monthly thing.
Yeah.
And you want them all to connect, and you got to actually think 12 issues ahead.
Yeah.
To write the
or
story.
maybe 5 years ahead. I mean,
right.
If Eric Larson's thing, we've talked about this on a few occasions. I mean, those characters have aged and, gone through their lives and stuff. You don't plan those one at a time. You have a story arc that you think about and, start figuring it out. It's not easy.
And that's why I'm with this one. It's like this is for Isidora. It's going to be an ongoing series, and I want to build the universe out, obviously too. It's not going to be these one. You see a lot of one shots in indie comics, and this is not a one shot. I'm trying to build a universe here, and maybe that's because it comes from my novel writing background. I want to build a universe. I want to do world building. I want to have more characters. Make a Lovecraftian Justice League down the road. Who knows? But I want to grow it. But this story for this I'm doing right now is planned to be about a 6 to 8 issue. Story arc to tell this story, and I know in my head. Now, I'm the word writer. I don't have the big outlines all written out. Everything. A lot of it's in my head, but I know where I want this arc, where the arc starts, where it goes through, and where it ends. So I know already what's happening.
Does that mean number 3's already been written, or is it already been?
No, it's not written yet, but I know what's going to happen to it. But I did say on there, unlike the first campaign, if I can get this one to 10,000. I can immediately start getting the artists working on issue 3 to where we can get the campaign going for issue 3 while this one's still fulfilling.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. You're already over 5. You got 17 days left?
Yep. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm conservatively hoping that we can hit 6,500, 7,000. That's what I'm. 10,000 is a dream, but if it hits it, yeah, great. I'm all in.
Who knows?
Nice problem to have, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, since you mentioned it, how do you plot these things out? What's your method?
I'm a weird one. Like I said, the way the whole idea even started for me was a little bit weird. The catalyst that sparked it was the name Isidora itself. That's the name I actually got was from the novel Souls of Magic Dawn. Now they're not related. They're both female characters and they both have magical powers, but it's completely different storylines. Kind of a completely different Elseworld, let's say, but using the same kind of name. But being Italian, I have a healthy fascination with ancient Rome. And when I was writing Souls of Magic Dawn, I searched for female Roman names. Isidora kind of just jumped off the page when I saw it, and I fell in love with it immediately. Now, in the comic, the character of Isidora is somewhat of an Elseworld take, like I said a minute ago, from Magic's Dawn. They're both sorceresses, but they're not quite the same character. They're kind of in entirely different worlds. But they both struggled with teachers and mentors that didn't help them achieve great power, but also restrained them from their highest potentials. So how does this play into the comic? When I first began contemplating about making the comic, I had a few ideas in my mind already. I knew I wanted Lovecraftian elements, and that's all I kind of had. But maybe being different, brainstorming structure to most writers, I needed a title that would kind of roll off the tongue. And at the time, I was actually rewatching, if anyone's familiar with that movie based on the novels, Mortal Instruments, City of Bones.
Yeah.
And the movie wasn't that great, I'll be honest. But I watch movies, just for hell of it, having fun, or I'm bored. It's like, let me watch it. But even though the movie itself wasn't great, Cassandra Clare kind of had something with the title of the book. It had that flow that I was thinking about. So my mind started wandering. And I knew that there was going to be beings in here that were immortals. And the image from the movie I was watching was those big chains and the mechanisms were still kind of fresh in my head. And it just kind of came to me, Isidora and the immortal chains. It had a little bit of a alliteration with the name. And being a sorceress, and boom, Isidora and the immortal chains. And it literally, just that in the title and the name, sparked the entire world building for me. So I knew Lovecraft, Isidora and Immortal Chains, and then from there I just started thinking, okay, so what would a superhero kind of, or a transgressive hero look like in a Lovecraftian world? And it just went from there.
And so do you sit down with like a notepad, or do you use something like Scrivener? Or, how much plotting is there? Or do you just open up a blank page and start writing script?
Open up a blank page and start writing script.
Wow. So
yeah.
you're a pantser.
I said I'm the weird one. I'm the weird one. And every writer or any kind of writing
Works
class
for
you
Stephen
take,
King.
Yeah, any writer or any kind of writing class you'll take will say do the outline, plot it out, do your plot line and your arc, and it's like I work better just diving in and doing it, because I can always go back, read it, and make changes. You know what I mean? And I can make those changes as it goes along. And with a comic book,
right.
Considering I come from writing a 100,000 plus world novel, a 24-page comic book, which all the
it's a drop in the bucket.
The descriptors aren't paragraphs of stuff. It's just 1 or 2 sentences to the artist how to set up the panel on the page. So all
you're
I
not
got to do is
doing
worry
like
about
Alan
dialogue.
Moore.
Right now, I do. Which one?
Have
What
you
were
read
saying?
Alan Moore's scripts? They're insane.
The scripts. I've read the books. I've read stuff like Watchmen and Swamp Thing and stuff like that.
His original scripts are insane, where he will, absolutely describe everything in every panel.
Yeah, I don't go that far, but I do the layout myself. I don't leave it up to the artist. So I do the panel layout and the page layouts. Now he'll give me feedback while he's drawing it and saying, "Hey, it might look better if we do this or move this here," and then we talk about it. If it's cool, I'm like, "Yeah, do that instead." But the initial page and panel layout, I actually write that out because I have a certain vision of how I want it to look in my head. And concerning my artist is from Turkey and English isn't his first language, it's fun.
Wow. I like your artist a lot.
Yeah, he's great. Alpers, he's great. And he's only grown. Just what I'm seeing him doing so far with issue 2, he's gotten way better. He did a few other comic books for some friends between issue 1 and issue 2. And
okay.
He's a young guy. He's like 22, so he's a really young guy, and he's still growing and learning as an artist.
That's cool. Does anyone have any questions for GA while we got him
I guess not.
here? What kind of stretch goals do you have coming up? Do you think?
Yeah, you better be playing some, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're hitting them, so you're. Maybe we should be brainstorming right now.
Well, I already got the next ones planned out. Like I said, the cards, people seem to really like trading cards. I didn't want to do the cliche bookmark thing. Everyone does that, and little tchotchkes or keychains and stickers. It's like everyone does that stuff. Trading cards, even though they're still kind of a tchotchke, they're more collectible. They're more kind of, collect the set. And if each campaign has a different set of cards, you're building this card set now with each campaign, so it moves on. It's
that's true.
Okay, right? It's like, what are you gonna do? Want a different sticker next time? That's not the same thing as a card. But if you want to pull up the campaign again, I actually just edited before we came on there. I did put the next stretch goal on there.
Oh, okay. Sean, would you mind bringing that up for me? We don't have it on deck here.
I know. Rough. It's rough.
I knew I should have left that open. I knew I should have left it open.
You had it open.
I had it open.
I would do it, but it would crash my computer. Anything that I ask my computer to do is
I can share it.
You share it, because
Yeah, I'll just share it.
I'm having difficulty here.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah, I know. You know how to do this too, man.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. All right, let's add that.
Let me move this over to my other screen, though. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, take us on the tour.
Okay, yeah. Oh,
And by the
whoa!
way-
We just hopped up. We just hopped up some more. We're at 51:14. We're gonna unlock
There
this
we
next
go.
stretch goal.
You got it. You're almost to 100 people now.
Yeah, 2
Two
away.
more people. Come on, folks.
Thank you, guys. Whoever was out there. So that's the next stretch goal is doing it at 52:50. So that's 136 away now.
Yep.
So all these cards were already unlocked. These were the initial card set for this.
Look at how
Campaign.
you did that. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Zoomed
So
in
yeah,
there.
it's having a little fun in Photoshop. I've had to learn this stuff as it goes along. But yeah, so those are ones that unlocked this morning. This one here just unlocked. So I found this guy I was talking to early before I started campaigns. He's called Phoenix Animation on Twitter, and he makes these aluminum metal cards front and back. So I decided to reissue the cards I had from the first campaign, the Isidora card, as a metal card. And I literally contacted him this morning saying, hey, you know what? I want to do this. And during my stream this morning, he actually put it in his computer, printed up the card, and had a mock-up of the card already
Wow.
for it. So it's a metal card. I'll show you guys here.
Click on that thing.
Oh, you got the sound and everything.
Yeah, I put the sound in there.
So that's metal?
Yeah, it's like aluminum.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of a remastered version of the first gen card. So it's a metal card. So that one's going to be at 5250, which, like I said, now we're less than 200 away from.
I've pledged for this, so I get this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
and
very
that's the
happy.
thing.
Keep supporting this thing, man. I want all the goodies.
Yeah. And just, guys, too, if you're coming in at the low tiers, the $10 tiers, which is just like the J. Espin wraparound cover or the Vic King wraparound cover, I got those at $10, and if you're in the U.S., it's free domestic shipping, so it's $10 out the door. There's no shipping charges, even with these add-on, even with these
I didn't know
add-ons
you
you're
were
getting.
doing that.
Yeah. That's just for the low tiers. The higher tiers, there is shipping on them because there's more boxes to be involved in that. But if you're just getting just Gemini with this,
That's a
and
great
everything-
deal.
Yeah, and the cards I can throw those all in the Gemini too. So it's even with the add-ons, it's fine. I can still do it as a Gemini thing. So with media mail, it's not like it's that expensive. I can pop that out for the customers. You know what I mean? The more it grows and the more backers we get, it starts to become not a big problem, especially with that. You know, I already knew what my goal was. I'm like, I'll be okay with paying for shipping for this, but yeah, my main thing is, and even though I'm obviously happy it's at 5,000, and I would like it to go higher. Like you were mentioning earlier, for me the backer count is more important than the money.
Yeah.
Because I want in as many hands as possible, because those are hands that if they enjoy it, next campaign are going to come back.
It's a little easier next time.
Right.
And
right.
if you got 8 issues in this run, then yeah, you got to keep building.
I mean, yeah, so far the value on this, now if you were in the first 24 hours, you're getting the Samantha Branch pinup and the Isidora little pendant as well. Those are the first early bird special ones. But aside from those, everyone that backs it right now so far is getting a George P. Gatsis 8x10 pinup, a puzzle that he's making with his character Joe King versus Isidora on his little puzzle thing. You're getting all 4 of those cards as well, along with whatever tier you back. So there's like a whole bunch of stuff already tossed in. So if people came in and backed it at that $10 tier in the first 24 hours, they're getting all the stuff I mentioned plus the Samantha Branch and the pendant, all for their $10 tier.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
That's cool. And free.
And for shipping, which is kind of unheard of.
yeah. I mean, there's a few that do it, especially for those shorter, those smaller tiers like that. So I don't mind doing it for the smaller ones. And I put a lot into the shipping too. You guys will see if you backed it, you're going to see it. Or ask people from issue 1. It's a whole event for me with the packaging. I got like envelopes, wax seals, and all this other stuff that I
Wax seals.
yeah. Yep.
What?
Nice.
Let me put you guys up here so I can put Walt up. He says at some point he wants to get the file of the Grey Council logo to put on a Gran Turismo car.
We can do that. That can easily be done. I actually 3D
He's
printed.
done a lot of those
3D printed it.
You 3D printed the logo?
Yeah.
You want to show your helmet right now?
Oh yeah, might as well. We were talking about the 3D printing, so yeah. By the way, guys, I bought the 3D printer about 8 months ago now. I want to say maybe 8-9 months ago, and I knew nothing about 3D printing. I never picked up an airbrush. Just like everything else I do, I self-taught. I just watched a lot of videos and learned how to do it. So yeah, I made a Mandalorian helmet.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
look at the colors.
Yeah. The colors are my channel colors, obviously, the purple and the gray. But I actually printed up a whole cosplay set. So I have the chest piece, the abs, the shoulders, the arms, the whole spiel with the helmet. And I got the pads in there to make it comfortable.
It's
but
all
yeah,
in Beskar.
Yeah, it's all in Beskar. And it's all, I mean, there's so much, like the printing itself, once you got it set, you turn it on and let the printer go, right? It took about 20 hours, 22 hours for it to print this helmet up. But once it printed up, that's when the real work starts, because it's all serrated lines, because it's all sequential line. So I have to literally, like a car, I have to Bondo it, sand it, Bondo it, sand it, Bondo it, sand it. Then I resin it, and then I sand it, and then I spot Bondo and sand it, and then prime it, and then paint
Holy
it.
cats.
Yeah, so there's a ton of work that goes into that. And I did the whole set. And the other one back there is a Revan one. You know what? Let me grab that one too.
Yeah, let's see it, man.
While my Mandalorian one, I love because it's a whole set. This is actually kind of my crowning glory for me, because it's not just a mask; it's an entire Revan helmet, and it's wearable. And I have the little chin strap here when I put it on. But I don't put it just on my head this way. I actually put magnets on here, so this part pops off. So I can put this on, and then like if I want to breathe, I can take this off, and then when I want to go back to cosplay,
Right.
I just hook it on.
Something.
Yeah, I hook it on, and magnets right there.
Wow.
So
That is very cool.
That's
Thanks
my
for
Revan
making
one.
us all look like bad nerds, GA.
Yeah. We're just not doing. We're not doing enough, man.
It just but it just goes to show anyone that has a dream or has something they want to get into or do. Guys, I'm 47 years old. Okay, I'm not a spring chicken. I have arthritis and fibromyalgia. I have a lot of issues that go on in my life, but with the technology being the way it is today, you just go on YouTube. You can literally learn anything. It's like the Matrix. You plug in.
So
I know
true.
karate. You know, so you could.
So true.
watch these videos and just get in the hang of doing stuff, and you'd be surprised what you can learn on your own without having any kind of formal training on stuff.
Anthony says no nerd is a bad nerd.
There you go.
That's true.
Yeah,
All right, so we're lazy nerds. How about that?
that might be appropriate. All right. Well, let me put some stuff up here, and we will definitely come back to this before the end. But let's see. There's the Kickstarter. Please go over there. I've already done my pledge, and I've read the first issue, and it's great. And I really like the character. I like where he's going with it. In case you're interested, you don't know whether you're gonna like it or not. It's cool. The story's there. The art is there. You guys should check this out. Support someone who is doing some cool stuff, folks. Go over to Kickstarter. You got 17 days because he's running a long campaign. But if you get in on this thing, you're gonna get a bunch of stretch goals, and let's get him up to that 10,000. Why not?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, let's get on to our next subject, folks. Hey, we haven't talked about Loki, folks, and we got GA here. I know that you watch these things live, don't you? I mean, you have like a late night 3 a.m. watch party.
Yeah, we're doing it tonight.
And then, there you go. And
after I get off here, I'm gonna probably try to take a nap, and then
no kidding, man.
Me and Yellow are gonna get up at 2:00 in the morning Central Time to do the watch party for this. Yeah,
that's brutal. And then you'll have a follow-up show where you talk about Easter eggs and reviews and all that sort of stuff. That's super awesome. So in any case, what I wanted to do, because last weekend I had internet issues. We didn't have a show at all, and we haven't talked about Loki yet. Loki's halfway done, and I think there's a lot of really exciting things happening.
There are only 6 episodes?
Only 6 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Just like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And so, we're halfway through this thing, and Tom Hiddleston says that his favorite episodes are 4 and 5, so it's probably about to get a little crazy. But what I want to do is just get your impression of what you've seen so far, and if you have any ideas about kind of, where they're going with this, or maybe what the larger effects are going to be on the MCU, please talk about that. And first on that, I'm going to go to Scott and Jen. I'll go to the corner. I'll go to the corner square.
I'll let you go.
Okay, so we watched this over the weekend. We caught up on the first 2 last week, and then this weekend we watched this newest one. I really enjoyed it.
I mean,
he did not so much, but
here's the deal. So far, and it's too early to tell, because if this was just a long movie, we'd only be halfway through with it then, knowing now that there's only 6 episodes.
Yep.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that Jen really liked episode 3. My children really liked episode 3. I didn't like episode 3 so much. I heard the big controversy, or how the media blows things out of proportion about the whole thing of I'm outraged because Loki's bi, and we watched it.
That's a Twitter outrage.
And I was like, what's the big deal? And she said, that one little part where he says this. And here's the take on that. Because I talked to my children about it later, and they said, Dad, did you know he's, bisexual? And I said, well, what made you think that? And my daughter, said, oh, he, spoiler. Are we out of focus here? Boy,
yes, you're terrible.
You're back.
Like,
You're back.
I thought I had a stroke or something. I don't know what's going on.
I'll stop waiting. Sorry. My daughter said, during this conversation, he mentioned that he's dated princes and princesses because he was asked that question.
Right.
And if you haven't seen it, I'm about to just talk about it, so I'm giving you a warning now.
Yeah, but, I think we're safely in good territory, man.
But, I almost took that. I mean, I get, clearly I think that's what Disney was doing, was telling us that this is a bisexual character. So other, people of different likes and variants could, enjoy, characters that are like them. But I also took it as like Loki playing a game. He is the god of mischief, and he's a trickster. And all I know is, like, if I was a cruel, mean god who was arrogant, I would also think I could fool the other version of me into things, and I wouldn't give them clues on maybe somebody I care about. So I almost took it as like he's just kind of playing around with it too. Like, to me, it wasn't as clear cut as like if I would have saw him meet a former lover and hug them and embrace them and say, yeah, we were married for a while, or we dated for a while. And that's not me being like the old guy who's against Loki being that way, because, I mean, he's kind of that way anyways. And anybody who maybe thought that Loki wasn't a little bit bisexual the whole time since his introduction is crazy. Because to me, that character's always been kind of played that way. But I could be a weird old white guy too. But I enjoy the time variant stuff, and yet I kind of hate time travel stuff. So
Really?
Like the whole thing with the lizard people, the 3 lizard people, that's just that's just a red herring. It's somebody else, obviously, and just like everything else I've enjoyed after I let it play out some. So I'm gonna continue to watch it. Marvel hasn't. I've said it again. They haven't crapped out any turds.
They haven't burned us yet.
It's been pretty good. So, I'll enjoy the ride until we get a couple of turds. They got me still hooked. So, I wish there was. Tom Hiddleston's a great actor, so I don't mean this disrespectful, but I don't watch the Thor movies for him. Now, my 2 little girls, they have a crush on him. They think he's brilliant, and they couldn't get enough Loki.
Very popular character.
Every episode could be 4 hours long because they like the man.
Yeah.
To me, he's just an okay character. So
all right.
That's probably where we differ.
Well, and Scott's really bad about nitpicking every little part of any movie or show, whereas I can take my brain out and go, this is just great for what it is. I'm just watching it as it's going. I like time travel stuff. I like the thought of alternate dimensions and, things like that. So I really enjoyed it. I like to, I can't wait to see how they get out of this predicament.
I do think it's the seed. It's obvious they're sowing the seeds of the multiverse and everything else, and I think we will see it played out throughout the movies. Now, is this going to introduce Kang, or is the big swerve that it's another Loki that's in charge of all these Lokis?
Right.
These are all variants of him or something. I don't know.
I think that's a very real possibility. All right, I'm going to go to Sean. Sean, what do you think, man, so far?
Well, so far I've enjoyed the show. I've been a fan of Hiddleston's Loki since he was introduced. He plays him very much like I would imagine him in the comic, and even though they take liberties with the mythology of the Asgardians, Loki, Thor, so on. I think he plays the character very, very true to the sense of the character, and I don't know. I've always been a big fan. I'd love to see Hiddleston cast as the next James Bond, to be completely honest. But
he's my pick.
It's so far I've been very entertained. I've enjoyed everything thus far. As far as controversies or whatever, people let it go. Let it go. I mean, if you dig into the mythology itself of Loki, I'm pretty certain he's given birth to several characters, much less been the father of several characters.
He gave birth to a horse.
Mm-hmm.
As a horse. So,
I mean,
there's that.
You want to talk about somebody that's gender fluid? Well,
yeah.
I don't think you can get much more fluid than that,
It's always been, even in mythology.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Anybody that's going to complain about any type of his comment about going either way or whatever. Dude had sex with a horse. as a horse. Come on.
Yeah.
I believe he's the father. Originally, he was the father of Fenrir, that giant wolf.
Oh,
Hello.
Walt says Odin's 8-legged horse. There you go, folks.
So I mean,
If you're into 8-legged horses,
the
that's what we're talking about there.
any
he's
of
a
the
eight-legged horse.
any of the complaints, people need to just they
Wouldn't
need
that be a
to
horse spider at that point?
Kind of.
they need to grow up. They need to move on. They need to let it go. Just enjoy it for what it is. Enjoy the story, and just move on with your life.
What, isn't it going to be great? Maybe one day, maybe. Probably this will never happen, but like where like those words can be uttered and nobody even blinks an eye and just moves on.
What's that? He gave birth to an 8-legged horse.
No,
I think everybody's gonna blink an eye anytime you bring that up.
right.
Walt says that is Loki is the mother of an 8-legged horse. The
Yeah,
mother.
right. Sleipnir. Not only did he had sex with a horse as a female horse and gave birth to a horse. This guys, this people who are upset about this, it goes way. I mean, this goes back to Norse mythology before there was Marvel. Okay, this is nothing new. Loki's always been gender fluid. The Norse just didn't have the term gender fluid. He's always been this way. And even in the comic books, he's been you know.
He does what
back
he
and
has
forth.
to get to his goal. That's all it is.
Right. And the main thing about him is he does it unabashed and unashamed. He doesn't care.
Right.
He does whatever, and that's the main takeaway from this. That's like, and I'm the kind of guy that while I don't mind and I do enjoy being able to see people of all stripes and colors, shown on media. I do have a problem when their sexual orientation or their race becomes the story instead of the story.
Oh
Right.
boy,
I mean,
we've talked about that so many times.
I've had an issue with Batwoman. Now I haven't watched it since Lavicia Leslie became Batwoman.
Right.
But when Ruby Rose was there, it's like her character being a lesbian was the story. There was no Batwoman story at all,
Right.
and that's why I had issue with it. Not that she was lesbian, because guess what? She's a lesbian in the comic books, and it was one of the greatest comic books. People loved the comic book.
Yeah.
It was a really good comic book run. But it's just the way it was done. You could tell that the writers were pushing the fact that she's a lesbian more than the actual story of her being Batwoman.
Yeah,
and
that's
why it
not a
annoyed me.
story.
Right. But with this,
Not unto
it's organic.
itself.
It's organic. It was a little blurb. It was just, it's not like it's, the main point of the story. It's just giving you, and what they've done since the beginning of this episode, and the reason why episode 1 still for me is my favorite episode, is they deconstructed this character that we have known through 10 years of the MCU, deconstructed him in an hour, and completely broke it down to the brass tacks of what makes Loki Loki.
Yeah.
And that was spectacular to me the way they did it. Episode 2 was a little slow. At the end of it was only that I liked it. I gave it a low score for episode 2 because it just seemed really, there was a lot of fluff in there they didn't need. But episode 3 got right back on track. So I'm excited about the series. I still like where it's going. I like the implications it has. If you want to get into speculation town, I don't think the timekeepers. First of all, the TVA are being lied to. It's all one big lie. It's just
Right.
like the whole. If you want to get into how religion brainwashes people
Sure.
sometimes and tells them all the things, and that's what this is. These people all this have this faith in the timekeepers, and it's all a big lie.
Right.
And in the comic books, I don't know if they're going to go with this, but in the comic books, even though we didn't see a lot of the timekeepers, they were kind of these. The sacred timeline was basically the timeline they exist in. That's why they wanted to maintain the sacred timeline, because it's the timeline that ensures their existence.
Oh,
and
right.
continued
Yeah,
existence.
that makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
It's
So it's a
self-serving.
selfish reason. Right. It's not altruistic. It's a selfish reason, which plays into what we've been seeing with the dialogue about like who are they to say? Who are they to say to make these decisions? Who are they to guide
Yeah.
everybody's destiny?
Yeah.
And say who survives or who doesn't. So I think that's coming too. There's going to be a revelation with Mobius, where he's going to realize he's been lied to this whole time. Another little tidbit, people, that Ravona's character, and I really think one of the timekeepers, and this is just for the MCU, it's not comic books, but one of the timekeepers is going to end up being Kang. Because we're going to be seeing Kang coming.
Yeah, I don't think
And in the
there's any
comic books, Ravonna and Kang had a love affair in the
Right.
comic books.
Right.
So it's all kind of tying together, and I kind of like where it's going. And you could see that everything we saw with WandaVision, not so much Falcon and Winter Soldier, but WandaVision and this is all leading to what's going to go into the next Spider-Man movie, and then Multiverse of Madness, and it's all going to just everything's fracturing.
Yeah. I think we're absolutely seeing the setup for Doctor Strange and for Spider-Man, and kind of everything that they're going to do here, kind of from now on. What's that, Scott?
I don't think this is going to happen, but is there any small chance that maybe this changes the course of, how Loki's been this kind of good guy, bad guy, like he wants to go bad, but he's also kind of a little good. Man, I tell you what, I would really love to see a really, really, really evil Loki come out of this.
Loki will never be evil per se.
I know. I just want him to
Mischief.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't want to do. He nothing he does is evil or malicious by any means.
There is murder and mass killing. But
whenever you look at he thinks of himself as a god. So I mean, people are just things. They're not necessarily anything to.
I think I'm being hopeful that I see like the really evil Loki, that we get sometimes in the Thor.
We might see one with one. If there might be, because there's probably going to be more variants
with the variants. Sure.
From the trailers we've been seeing, even though Sylvie is the variant that they're chasing, we're going to be seeing other variants. So we're probably going to run into one that president one is probably going to be that evil Loki just took over and does whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
There's a possibility with that, but I don't think you're going to get, Scott, the truly evil Loki that you want, because he's always going to have that little bit of just mischievousness, and it's for fun, and it's, yeah.
I gotcha.
There is an actor, his name is Ben something, I can't remember his name, but some people have posited that it might be an older version of Loki, and that may be the guy who is running the TVA, or maybe the guy who created Sylvie, or who knows? But we haven't seen him yet. He hasn't shown up yet. But if you he has a similar look to Hiddleston, so it would kind of make sense if you're looking at and if you look at the comics, there have been there's been young Loki, there's been Lady Loki, there's been the old version of Loki.
I mean everything.
We're getting, if there's one theme, people who are worried about the gender fluid thing or whatever, or the, being bisexual or what, haven't they, isn't this the theme of the whole series? Is that you kind of have the panoply of all things Loki in this thing? There is no one canon Loki.
No.
And it's very much, none of this is out of range of the myth, from long ago, and none of it is out of canon in the comics. So I have no idea why people are complaining about it. Anyone who is complaining about this doesn't know the history of either, or isn't paying attention to this series.
Are the complaints on Twitter?
Like I said, the whole theme of this series, the whole theme of the series is that he's not one thing.
Here's a good thing. All these made for TV or whatever you want to call these series have been extremely different, and yet still feel a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
I sure wish we would have got this. I don't want to sound like the neckbeard who's griping about Star Wars, but man, I sure wish we would have got this for these last three movies. Every one of these series have been extremely different. Where you could maybe not be a fan of this or that Marvel, but you might sit down to watch Loki, or you might Scarlet Witch might call your name.
Sure.
It's really remarkable that they took some chances and tried different things with
I agree with that.
I also can't believe the short memories that some Marvel fans have. When let's not act like the MCU has been number one hits for the past 10 years, because there's been some bad movies in that, okay? The Thor movie, Dark World, obviously was a horrible movie. There was a lot of bad movies in it. Overall, though, it told a good story, and it's very cookie cutter. What we're seeing with this is they're at least trying to step out of that cookie cutter a little bit and tell some stories that are self-contained, but also can play into the greater narrative. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think what it is people, it's Endgame hangover. We had Endgame. We had this spectacular ending to
so
this
true.
10 years culmination of the storyline. Then COVID hit. We had nothing. And now we're getting these shows, and people are like, this isn't like the movies. This is not as great. This is not well. First of all, last thing you saw was Endgame. And that's why,
Yeah.
it's like...
It's going to take another 10 years to build up to that
Right.
again. And you don't want it... There's no way that you could stay at that level for every damn movie. We're in a phase right now where there's a reset. You are reintroducing characters. You're dealing with the ramifications of characters that have, passed or they have changed in some way. This is they're building back up again. I've seen people complain about this is the MCU is over. It's like, are you kidding?
Let me tell you something. They do MCU movies after we're dead.
They said that between every MCU movie.
Absolutely, they did. When Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, they said
that.
The MCU is over. Who are these characters? We hate them.
No one's going to buy a talking raccoon.
And then they went to see them, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is amazing.
No one's going to buy a talking tree. This is the worst
And now
movie
we're
ever.
hearing it about Shang-Chi, and we're hearing about the Eternals, and it's like, how about if we just go watch the movies, guys? And then if you don't like it for some reason, give me a valid point of view, and we'll go, hey, there was a miss here. But, I mean, we're getting 6-hour movies in these series. I mean, the special effects, the storytelling, I was saying this is not mid-range. I would say this is upper range on all of these stories. I thought WandaVision was really brilliantly crafted. And again, very different. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a great buddy cop movie, with, two characters that didn't get a lot of play in the movies. And now we're getting Doctor Who. We're getting something weird and something very different. And all of it is really well done. I think that we live in a very blessed time, and we should probably appreciate it for what it is. Marvel alone is providing us with a hell of a lot of really great entertainment, I think.
People are spoiled. They need to shut the hell up.
Oh, my God. We look at... We were talking about the old Buck Rogers series,
I mean,
and I was so happy to see old episodes of Buck Rogers. That show was shit. I mean, no offense to people who love that show, but I mean, come on. That thing was weak. It was weak sauce, folks. And, it doesn't hold up now for sure.
But there was quicksand. There was quicksand.
There's a lot of quicksand, man.
So scary.
We are really blessed with high quality science fiction, fantasy, whatever, weird stuff right now. Oh my God, the new series of the new season of Rick and Morty is out.
Yeah, I haven't even got a chance to watch that.
Oh my God. That episode on Sunday night was insane. It was insane.
What's the next series after Loki? Or are we just going to get Marvel movies?
Well, we're going to start.
What if?
Is the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good call, man. Walt says you are correct, GA.
It's a curse, I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, Walt wants me to say it in the voice. We were just talking about how I want to get a puppet and do routines where I do the aggrieved Marvel fan voice, which I can't just do off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm going to put that voice in a puppet, I think. CTFD people, Walt says. All right. Speaking as to what's going to happen next, I think that we are seeing the seeds of, the next few movies that are coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that it's going to be like one of these footnote things where maybe we open in Doctor Strange and they show you a couple of scenes from Loki, you know, and that's your introduction to that series into the setup for the movie. I mean, I think some people, if you're not watching it right now, you're going to have to go back to watch these things to pick up on what's happening, to be honest, because I really think that the end of the Loki series is going to be the beginning of
I think it's going to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Yeah, because we're getting Spider-Man before Doctor Strange, and the cracks that are being created here in the timeline is what's going to cause all the insanity that's supposed to be happening in the Spider-Man movie. You know, all the villains, but we don't have Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. No. We have all the villains, but they're not going to be there. Why would they be there?
They are playing very coy. Yes, they are.
But, yeah. So we're going to see the first shock waves of what's happening in this series and WandaVision with the Darkhold in Spider-Man. And Doctor Strange is probably going to show up in that at the end of that one. Like, okay, stuff's kind of going crazy here.
Which, by the way, I don't know if anybody is aware, they went back and they adjusted the after credits scene.
Yeah, he just brought it up.
Did he? Yeah, they adjusted the after credits scene of the of WandaVision.
So the scene where she was looking through the Darkhold is different now?
It's slightly, that whole shot coming into the cabin and everything, they've adjusted slightly.
Changed it?
Yes. And he was actually supposed to be in it, and they changed it last minute. He was Benedict Cumberbatch was supposed to be. They actually came out and said it. Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch himself said, yeah, they were supposed to do it, but then things between COVID and Feige worried. Feige was worried about him overshadowing Wanda. Yeah.
I mean, isn't the benefit of this being in the MCU that we get to see these stupid guest appearances? I mean, that's not an overshadowing. It's, it's the bonus.
If he shows up just at the very end, I don't think it's overshadowing. But I think he was supposed to be in like the last two or something like that, which would have been a little much.
That might have been too much.
Yeah, but if they just had him at a cameo at the end, that would have worked.
It would have been awesome.
I think he was supposed to be more of a presence than Rambeau was.
Right.
Okay. I'll have to go look at the thing there. I hadn't heard about that. I think that's pretty cool. All right, we're going to move on to our next section here, folks. Hey, we cover a lot of different things from week to week, and we talk a lot about, because we're older gentlemen and ladies, we talk a little bit about like the old stuff that we used to enjoy, but I thought it would be fun to maybe talk about some new stuff that's coming out, so that if people were interested in what's happening right now in comics, maybe we could throw that out to the public and see what they say. And because we have some current comic readers here, I wanted to maybe get your idea of what you're reading right now and what you enjoy. And so first on that, I'm going to go to Sean.
Mine's kind of a mixed bag, because I don't read a whole lot of current comics. It just, one, I don't have a whole lot of time, and two, it just, a lot of the current comics don't really interest me. But some of the stories that I have been really checking into, one of which in particular was a compendium of the Dreadstar books by Jim Starlin. And the reason I bring those up, not only are they older comics that really influenced me when I was younger, that have been collected into, I believe, a 3-volume set produced by Omnibus Printing, I believe, something like that. They are releasing a new story illustrated by Jim Starlin, who has not been working on comics due to health reasons. And so this is the first time that he's actually illustrated sequential art in a very, very long time.
Is he going to do the whole thing?
Yeah, it's done. In fact, I'm eagerly awaiting my copy to make its way to my happy little home. But you can order it. Ominous? Maybe it's Ominous. I got to look that up.
Yeah.
They did a Kickstarter for it, but Starlin has been taking some pre-copies that he's had to conventions and whatnot. So if you get to see him at a convention, you can probably check it out there and give it a look. Because again, not only a great illustrator, but a great storyteller. Definitely something to
yeah.
to take
I
a
mean,
look at.
Jim Starlin's where you get Thanos. All those stories and stuff for people who don't know. So, yeah, that's important. Is that it, dude?
That's really the only thing. Like I said,
Before
I've recently
go,
been reading Dreadstar, so that's
before
kind
I
of
let you go, you get more Kickstarters than anyone I know. So you do support a lot of current, comics.
Yes.
You see a lot of stuff, and I mean, you're getting comics, and then you're getting compilations of stuff, and then you're also getting art books and stuff from Kickstarter. So I mean, you're really on top of the kind of, I mean, does independent comic really cover it? I mean,
independent
the
would
super
probably be the
independent.
best. Yeah, because I honestly I don't really mess with any of the
We're not talking about Image or Dark Horse here. We're talking about stuff that's self-published.
A lot of the stuff that I pick up recently have been publications from France, have been publications from Spain, have been publications from I got something just the other day. Was it I want to say it was from the Netherlands. Don't understand hardly anything. I mean, they do try to translate some of it, but a lot of it it's just the storytelling, how they lay out the pages, how they tell the story, and some of that artwork is absolutely gorgeous.
GG says whatever Sean says, I agree with. He's very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
From the YouTubes.
But honestly, here most recently, I've been kind of going back to my roots and looking up a lot of the other older stuff that has been, as you say, has been compiled. A lot of, for example, the Savage Sword of Conan volumes. I have them all, and so going back and rereading those. ElfQuest, for example, they're doing an audio drama of their original comics, and which I've been posting on the Taskforce Geek web Facebook page. They just finished up their Kickstarter. Some amazing voice talents that they've put into those. So of course I've been going back and reading the old collected editions of those. I haven't really been picking up a whole lot of current stuff outside of Kickstarter that I've paid for a year and a half now, and now they're finally coming in.
Right. That's usually the way it is. GA, we're going to go to you.
Yeah. That is unfortunate that you have to wait that long for stuff. I try to fulfill as quickly as possible. There's a lot of them that take
a lot of stuff is getting printed in China, and then of course with the
I found a printer here in the United States, in Arizona, who did amazing work. Strathmore covers they're fantastic. Now they do small runs. They only do runs up to 500.
Right.
But it's worth it. And there's other company. I mean, I think it's money. They're looking for the cheapest solution to print.
Well, sure. A lot of the stuff that I've been getting recently. Yeah, I know that's what they're doing. They're just trying to pinch as many pennies as they can, and I get that. I totally.
And I'm sure for mine, I probably did pay a little bit more for printing than they did. But I would rather get the speed and the quality. And I don't care if it comes out of my bottom line. That's to me. I want to get it in hands. That's what's the most important. If it grows and it hits what it's supposed to, the money will come later. So I'm just. That's what I want to do. But yeah. I mean, I do the same thing. I think I just hit the 25 backer. I should become a super backer because you got to back 25 projects. It's taken me about a year or so to get to that point. But I haven't read any of these yet. I've been so busy with all my channel, with my comic book. I'm just haven't been able to get caught up on them. If we're talking more. Well, it is mainstream, but it's not mainstream. It's not DC or Marvel. But I did read the first issue of it, and I'm really interested in The Last Ronin, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series.
Oh, yes. That is...
That they...
I'm getting that, too. That's a good pick.
How many issues are you through?
I've only read the first one. There's supposed to be 5.
Okay. I only
read the first one.
I complained about it, but I shouldn't throw stones since I don't do comics for a living, so...
But I mean, if the fact that we're going back to the original creators with it and everything, it looks, and it's a really dark story too. I mean, the original Turtles were kind of darker. It weren't the goofy stuff we saw in Archie comics or the cartoon.
I loved the originals.
Yeah,
the originals were
that's what attracted
black
me
and
to
white.
them at the first one.
Oh
yes.
I have I have one in my comic box or somewhere. I think it's like issue 16 or something like that. It's less than 20, so it's one of those, but it's sitting in my box there. But yeah, I love those. That's something, if I have the money to collect them all, I would like to get the original Eastman and Laird run in its entirety.
I will say the first independent comic I ever purchased was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. I think it was a 3rd or 4th printing, but
they are the reason why we see anthropomorphic characters all over Indiegogo.
That's probably true.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's probably true. Is that all you had there, GA? You don't want to go through
like
that,
I said, I haven't been able to
that stack.
I mean, I can show people these are all great. Like this one here, Sapphire Spectre. They actually have a campaign up right now. I think they're on issue 5.
That looks cool. I've never seen
that's
that.
a really good book. This LaFay one is also up still. They have another campaign going up. This was a really good book as well.
Cool. Sapphire Spectre.
Yeah, let's see what else we have here.
I see you like Bad Girl comics too.
No, I don't mind showing it. It has nothing to do with that. It's just...
No, I mean...
I'm just trying... Huh?
He just means...
No, you like the same sort of characters in comics that I do. That's what.
Yeah. Tim Lim, Common America, and Black Ops really... He's doing spectacular stuff over there as well.
I've been getting those are fantastic.
Yeah.
Really?
The Common America. Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
They're really good. But like I said, I just skimmed through it. Yeah, I've just skimmed through it. I haven't actually been able to read, so I can't comment on how good the stories are for these yet. But I'll get to them eventually.
Yeah, you're backing them though, man. That's awesome. You're not just showing up on Kickstarter and winning campaigns and stuff.
Right. What am I, like the haircut for men? Not only am I a comic
creator, I'm also
a client. Right.
Oh my gosh. Gigi asks, should TMNT cosplayers be stigmatized like furries?
No. No.
Furries have their fun.
What the hell?
No on both. Yeah, they're not hurting nobody.
If they dress as the turtles, you could probably classify them as a furry, but you have to also remember you've got Shredder, who's a person. You've got Any of the Foot. They're all people. Although I think they turned them into robots in the cartoon or something. I could be wrong there.
My one friend
didn't watch it
on the internet here, Lorenzo Sleestack. He identifies as.
I like that name.
What are the lizards from Journey to the Center of the Earth? Is that what it was? Starts with A. Anyway, what? Yeah.
That's from
Land of the Lost.
That's from Land
of the Lost. Land of the Lost. Thank you. That's it. Land of the Lost. Land of the Lost. Right. Yes, and that's what he calls himself. And so he identifies. He says he's a scaly, which is furry adjacent.
Okay. All right.
Oh, all right. Rock and roll.
I like that. Walt says that in the 80s TMNT cartoon, the foot soldiers are robots. I guess that allowed them to hack through them.
Right.
We know how they
couldn't kill real people in the cartoons.
That's right.
But in the original comics,
that's why everyone bailed out in G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone bailed out of the plane. They blew up the plane, but there's a lot of people bailing out.
That takes me back to the A-Team, who were supposed to be these super these super soldiers who
Never
they're
hit a
so-
person.
yeah, they're so perfect in
Using
their
automatic
spray and
weapons.
pray. They can blow up a Jeep and everybody just kind of scampers
Walks
away
away.
from
Right.
it. Oh, for
Yeah,
God's
that was
sake.
the A-Team, man. All right, folks. Current comics that you think people should be reading.
So we're just talking about comics we think people should be reading. Is that the question?
Yeah. I mean, what's your favorite current, like, if someone maybe wanted to pick up on a series that's running right now, what would you suggest?
I'll let Jen go first.
I got this.
I just got like the last week of comics, and I was just going to go through them, but I didn't know what the actual question was.
Right.
Well, for the record, these are all comics that I've read just this week. Not
Okay.
all of them, but they were really good, so I'm
That's
excited
all
about them. The first one is
Oh my God. That's one that I have.
The artwork and the story are both amazing. So, I will be picking up number 2 on this. This is brand new. So,
Very cool.
Who's it done by? Well, they don't want to see the back. Joelle Jones.
yeah, I don't know. You
This
tell
is
me.
a writer-artist, Joelle Jones. So
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I follow her on Instagram, if I remember right.
it is beautiful. Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
Like the backgrounds.
Yep.
Didn't you show off this book here recently?
I did.
Okay.
I think Dirk did, and
Mhm.
the same way that you look, Dirk, you look at the guy that does Batman, man. I just look
Yeah.
and just go like, wow.
Yep. Jorge Jimenez, my
Yeah.
Nemesis.
Anyways, good. I haven't read this yet, so keep
Nope,
going.
I'm going to leave it for him.
All right.
I read Basilisk this week.
Ooh, interesting. What is that?
It's by Boom Studios. Boom Studios has
I
not
like Boom.
every book that I've read from Boom Studios I love right now.
I agree. They're
and,
killing it.
kind
I
of
realize that there's a lot of Boom that I read.
a lot.
Yeah.
Almost everything I read right now is Boom stuff.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
agree.
really good.
You only find them when they're dead?
Yes, another favorite. So this is number 1. I'm gonna get number 2 when it comes out.
But you like that. I may
Yeah,
have-
Horror comic? What is
I
it?
may
Yeah.
have to check that one out.
it's kind of horror zombie-ish.
Let's see a couple of pages.
I still don't know a whole lot of like
Okay.
what's going on exactly.
Yeah.
I know that this girl has her face covered for a reason,
Okay.
but I don't want to like spoil stuff.
Right.
So,
It's written by, I think it's Cullen Bunn is how you pronounce his name. I know he worked for Marvel for a while.
Yeah.
So other things. The
I like
artist
the
I'm
art.
familiar with, Jonas Scharf,
Okay.
or Scarf, however you pronounce it.
Yep.
Anyways, it looks pretty cool.
so
Cool.
Matter of fact, I got this for her. I saw it at the shop, and I just put it in my box. So I was like, this is a Jen comic. And it's published by Boom Studios. So
Yep.
is always a yes for me right now. So,
Yep. I agree.
Shadecraft number 4 came out this week.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing. So if you're not reading Shadecraft, you should read it.
Right.
'Cause
I picked up the first issue and liked it.
Oh, it's so good, and the storyline is really coming around. So,
Wow.
like it's
Yep. I really like the art.
going places.
looks like a
Cool.
goth kid.
A goth kid with like
I don't know.
shadow powers.
Sure.
So I don't think that gives
I'm
any.
down with that.
So my next one is called By the Horns.
Okay.
It's by Scout Comics. I just happened to see this one, and actually, our friend Gary picked it up and said, "Jen, I think you'd like this.
Okay.
'Cause it has unicorns in it." I like fantasy
Yeah.
stories, and so I picked it up and kind of flipped through, and I was like, "Oh, that looks amazing."
Oh,
So I read it this week.
all right.
That does look awesome.
Yep. I'm digging that.
It's a great story. Number 2 is out. I don't have it yet, but number 3 comes out tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm headed to the comic store to hunt down number 2 and 3. But it was really good. And last for me, but not least, I've been borrowing Orcs from Scott.
Okay.
And I power read 1 through 5. Number 5 is the current issue.
Okay.
And it's just a delightful story.
All right. That's what Scott said too.
It's funny. As a World of Warcraft player, it is funny to me as well. It's got elves. It's got orcs. It's got a little bit of everything. It's kid friendly.
I don't want to say something like bonish, like old Jeff Smith stuff, but in some ways it's.
I see that.
That was my first thought.
Sure,
it's done by a female artist writer, Christine Larson, and it's. I'll be shocked if at some point over the next couple of years, like we don't see a Netflix series or something like an animated series of this comic. I mean, it's all ages and it's fun. I mean, it's.
I'm sure they would.
I was
I'm sure
sitting
they would like that.
and I was just laughing out loud because there's just parts that just, I mean, like belly laughing hysterically because it was just funny. Good little story.
And it's actually also published by Boom, their kid line,
The kid version.
Kaboom. So.
Oh, okay.
So I got a mixed bag of stuff here. So I don't really want to sit here for 20 minutes and talk, but at the same time, I thought this was like show what you've been reading and give your thoughts. So I don't know where to go here. I also thought this was like how do new people, which way you would push them. So I'm going to just add that to this. Number one, if you're a new comic reader and you're too scared to jump in, I definitely think that, go to the library. There's trade paperbacks everywhere at the library. I was there today. Mm-hmm. It's just littered with that stuff that you can read for free to dip your toe into comics.
That's a good idea.
That is how I started. I went to the library. I didn't want to go buy monthly issues because I'm poor. And I went to the library and I would just check out lots and lots of like graphic novel, the volumes. And I read all of The Walking Dead that way. And I still get
that's a lot of
older
issues.
It was a lot. But the library is good like that because if they have a lot of different branches, then they have a bigger collection and you can put them on hold and they'll send it to whatever library is local for you. And that's...
Another thing I think for new readers, because I get this asked all the time, they'll walk into Wizards and they'll say like, hey, I want to read some comics, but I've never done it before. I'm waving my hand again. I want to get into comics because I think I would like it, but I don't know where to start. It's overwhelming. And it is overwhelming, but what I really think you should do is the same thing I did as a kid, is you just find something, you look at something, see if you're interested, and you try it. And then eventually you will start pay attention to who's writing it and who's drawing it or whatever else that you find appealing about that book, because more now than ever, they put, the names of these creators on these things, and you will, I know we get like 2 customers at the shop typically, and I've noticed this for like the last 20 years that I've helped out at retail comic shops, is you got the guy who like collects Ghost Rider or Spawn. Like he loves the character. He doesn't care who does it. Me and my daughter could write a story he wants to buy and have all the alternate covers, while you have other people who hop titles based off creators. And neither one of them's necessarily wrong, and I do kind of a little bit of both. Like, no matter, most of the time it's Eric Larson who does Savage Dragon, but like, I'll buy any title of Savage Dragon. The old Death's Head character from the Marvel UK comics,
Yep.
I'll buy anything with that original character in that. So there's a few characters that I follow no matter what, and I feel like I should give them my support so I can keep getting stories for them. But a lot of times I follow creators. So anyways, just dip your toe into it. You got to try it out to see where you go, and you'll find your place. I mean, like, I hear people all the time complaining, like, I hate Spider-Man right now. And so they're like, why do you pick up 7 titles if you don't like it? Like, just jump off and jump back on. I mean, in a lot of ways, we've been regurgitating the same kind of overarching stories now for 50 plus years. And it's okay. I mean, Jen likes all these other type of books. I'm more of no matter what, even if I read these other books, I gravitate towards the superhero stuff, even though I've heard the story and I know where it's going to go 100 times. But that's just what kind of gets me. So what I've been reading lately, this stuff is stuff I've just read maybe in the last 2 weeks. Not all of it that I've read in the last 2 weeks, but I read a lot of books. Peach Momoko is doing these books with Marvel, these Demon Day books, where they're kind of like one-shots, but they're also like stories together. The first one was like featured kind of Venom. This one's Mariko. And these are just two different covers. I got the Peach Morocco cover just because her art is just fantastic. She's writing this as well. There's so many. The days of having like just an all-male creators is gone in comics, and it's really nice to see, especially with the guy who has some little girls who like to draw and stuff. And it's really nice to see the females get a chance to flourish and write and draw and everything else. And Peach Momoko is doing amazing things. The reason I showed this cover and the reason I bought it is that's Stan Sakai from Usagi Yojimbo. I couldn't resist him doing a Marvel cover, so I had to like buy it and support that. I'm going to kind of go through these a little bit quick, and I'll give you my thoughts as we go since we do Prime reviews anyway. So Captain Harlock.
Oh,
This is a case where I wanted to love the book.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
I don't think the writing was bad, but it sure didn't connect to me. Not enough to get me to read issue 2.
Okay.
But, I picked it up, gave it a shot. It's inside, it's beautiful. I don't know how well you can see all this, but it's beautiful. It has the feel of the old anime and stuff like that. But anyways, still reading Berserker, or as Jennifer calls it, what do you call it?
Berserker.
Berserker. I think it's fading on me. Like, the shine is, even though the cover shows different, it's just a comic. I don't get excited for it anymore, but we'll see where it goes. This comic, I think we both can praise to no end. Carmen is just beautiful, and I thought this was going to be crap because the artist was also writing it, and it's just amazing. I don't know really how much I can show because there's somebody who sometimes is risque, but it's not.
There's some nudity in there.
It's not dirty in any way, shape, or form. This is just a beautiful book, and when it ends, I'm actually going to be very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're getting a lot of diversity, and they're featuring that. This was the Festivals of Heroes, celebrating Asian superheroes. And so I picked this up. It's a big old giant thing, so lots of pages. They introduced a new character called the Monkey Prince, and being a Dragon Ball fan of the original Dragon Balls, I thought I had to give that a shot. So that was neat. I highly recommend this. You're not going to find the original issues unless they're second, third, fourth, fifth printings. Strange Academy is basically Harry Potter in the Marvel Universe, and I'm not really a Harry Potter fan, but I love this book. Scotty Young is writing it. Herberto Ramos is drawing it. It is just magical. I can't talk enough about this.
That's an interesting combination.
I can't speak enough about this. This is just a really, really, really great book.
I like it too, and I like Harry Potter.
In the case of, how we were talking, people buy books for the art, and then eventually you follow a book because of the writer.
Sure.
Donny Cates, he came along the scene. He wrote some things. I followed him, and he did a Thanos run. And then I hate Venom. I hate it. And I was so glad that this was the final issue of the 35 issues that he wrote. He did write Venom better than anybody else, I thought, through the creation of Venom. I'm just glad this is over because I hate supporting the character Venom. So I got to see this end. He had some great artists with him on the team, though. So actually, I became probably more fans of some of the artists, as we went, and probably will end up following some of those.
I have so many questions.
You have so many questions about Venom?
Why you hate Venom so much?
Oh, man, he's boring.
We don't have to discuss it.
He's boring, man. He's so boring. This is another book me and Jen both love. 7 Secrets. It's a studio book. I also feel like we're going to see this somewhere in other media at some point, and everybody's going to remember, remember when that was a comic?
It'll be a Netflix series soon.
I don't know. Man, this one just has the feel. It's so exciting, and the art is just really beautiful. The writing's really good. Mm-hmm. Tom Taylor, I've been kind of picking up some of his stuff lately that he's written. I haven't picked up everything ever that he's wrote, but his Suicide Squad last run that he did actually got me to try this. We read this together, and we had a recommendation, and we both just loved every step of the way. When this you go get your comics, like I usually get my comics the weekend, but when I know that this book has come out on Wednesday, I usually go to the store that week on Wednesday to pick up this. And Jen's like, immediately, have you read Seven Secrets yet? I want the book. I want that in my hand. So if we're frothing for it, it's pretty good. Last few things. Milestone Comics has returned. If you remember them in the 90s, they were set in the city of Dakota. It was kind of to get a lot more ethnic characters.
That was a little before my time.
Before your time, 1994? I think it was 94. I could be wrong on that. Anyways, they had a series. They had their own imprint with DC. I loved the old Milestone books. That's where we got Static. We had Icon. We had Hardware, Blood Syndicate, stuff like that. I read quite a few of those books back in the day, and I was really sad when they kind of, just didn't get the sales and had to end their run. But they're back, and if you want my honest opinion, I don't know. I don't really like any of the writers so far. So the art's fine. None of the writers are hitting with me, but I love the characters and the universe so much, I'm going to probably give it a few issues to see where it goes. Two last things. I've been reading X-Men ever since Jonathan Hickman kind of reset the X-Men universe. It's still getting, there's low points and high points, and no issues terrible, but there's times where I'm buying every X book.
Wow.
There's I don't know, 10, 12 X-Men books a month. There's about 3 a week.
It's quite an investment.
And I've been reading them because they give you this checklist in the back of the book. That doesn't matter, but kind of matters, So I've been trying to read them in order as we've gone this whole journey. And, Planet Size X-Men, boy, it's one of those books kind of like when he reset the Marvel Universe, or the X-Men in the Marvel Universe with the more McTaggart thing. This issue kind of notches it up into that kind of category. Very beautifully done. Pick this one up if you want kind of a jumping on point of what's the X-Men doing and stuff like that right now. And then last but not least, since we already talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and anamorphic characters, this is Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. And before you laugh, this is actually this was Gary, our buddy Gary at the comic store told us I should pick this up. He goes, I think you'd really like it. It's a really good read. And this reminds me of, I talk about it, Derek Robertson's first book was Space Beaver before Transmetropolitan and all that stuff and all the other books that he's done. This reminds me of a really, really good version of what the Space Beaver comic was trying to be at the time. The art, I think, is overall, for anamorph characters, this gives me the Bucky O'Hare feel.
Yeah. That reminds me of the bunny character from Star Wars.
Yeah, Jackson.
Jackson, yes.
I think that was his name, yeah. But anyways, this is actually really well written. It actually made me really want number 2. It's also by Scout Comics. I know Jen has one. But what bothers me about this is, in the back of the book, I'm I wonder when issue 2 comes out. And it says, read the rest of this story in a nonstop graphic novel. So I don't know if it's, you got to go order a big trade or whatever, but
that's weird.
I'll do some research on that. But if you like Animorph comics or Cathead Girls or whatever, it's in here and it's pretty good.
Sean likes that.
Sean likes Cathead Girls. Anyways, this is just a couple weeks of reading. Me and Jen, I buy a lot of comics every week, usually anywhere from, if I get only 6 books, it's a pretty light week. So I'd say out of the panel, I probably definitely read the most comics, and I'm blessed to have a job that allows me the time to actually read all these things. But I also have a second job to pay for them too. So anyways, that's what I'm reading. If you're interested in comics, just jump in. It's a big giant hole. And honestly, I think there might not be a better time to get into comics. There's so many diverse things out there.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I put this question out to I put this question out to the public, and we got 2 people that chimed in on it. And I'm going to say it. You guys have been talking for a while, so some of the things that you picked are the same things that I picked as well. But Russell Oldham, our buddy, chimed in and said Noctera. Is anyone familiar with Noctera?
That's the, I think, Tony Daniel comic.
Okay, all right. Well, that was his pick. And then Gary gave us a bunch of them, and again, it kind of is going over some territory that you just mentioned. He really likes Strange Adventures, and if you pay attention to Gary's posts, he had a very long missive on, Strange Adventures and how good it was and what it meant to him and stuff. So I mean, that is a kind of Strange Adventures with a bullet. He really apparently enjoyed that.
Tom King, I think, to me, single-handedly makes you want to buy DC Comics. I mean,
right.
Everything he touches right now is really good. Right. I don't know if anybody else has read his stuff, but it's amazing. His Mr. Miracle run that happened like 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
When Pete Nifton was over here,
I heard good things about that.
He bought me that trade and just left it here because it was so good. He wanted me to read it, and man, I've been a fan ever since. So.
Gary also mentions Seven to Eternity. I'm not familiar with that. Anyone?
That is the Jerome Opeña book. I think it's written by Rick Remender, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably. I think it's the guys who did Fear Agent back in the day.
All right. He also mentioned Seven Secrets. We've done that. Also Giger. That's one that I had.
Jeff Johns, Gary Frank.
Johns, Gary Frank. I have that first issue. And asked for the other issues because it's post-apocalyptic. Has great art. Really like the setup. I'm anxious to see where that goes. So that's one of my picks as well. He also mentioned Supergirl.
I have not read it yet. Tom King
is the
6 issues of it.
It's the one that's set in this new continuity, right?
I guess so.
Whatever you call this, Infinite Frontier, right? He said that it's about Supergirl goes to, gets off the Earth and goes someplace else, and she loses her powers because of wherever it is she goes to. Has like a red sun or something.
Yeah, because it has like a red sun, so she loses her power.
Right, and then also Krypto's in it.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So anyway, that was his picks, and I'm going to go through mine really quick. I also have Berserker. I really enjoyed Berserker issue 1 and 2. 2 was twice as good as 1. I mean, what they're doing with going back in time and talking about his origin and stuff, I think is very interesting. Certainly more depth than I expected.
You'll probably like number 3 a lot then.
What's that?
You'll probably like number 3 a lot then.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some cool stuff going on there. I have to second Wonder Girl. That was one of my picks. Wow, both story and art really good on this thing, and done by the same person, Joelle Jones. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is the only the first issue come out? Is that correct?
Yes. I think it comes out July 7th is issue 2.
Okay, this is one that I just picked up off the shelf. I thought this looks interesting. Well worth the time. And right now you can go to Kickstarter and pick up GA's book, by the way. And
no pressure.
Kind of and I would suggest that would be a comic that I would suggest. I really enjoyed the first issue. Sincerely, I wouldn't just say that. It's something that's right up my alley. Really like the art, like what you're doing with the character. Go over there and support something that's unique and cool. And in that vein, also kind of in the Kickstarter stuff, how about a little Project Big Hype, which is a big American style manga.
Ooh, big,
that's thick, and I mean just filled with all kinds of different artwork, and it's black and white just like manga, and I mean just different characters and different stuff. How cool is that? There's going to be another one of those coming out soon. This is fun stuff. This is really cool.
There were several stories in there that I really, really enjoyed. I'm hopeful that they'll expand with.
And they don't own those characters. They could take those characters off into their own stuff, or they may show up in the second issue. And I enjoyed Boom Queens quite a bit. That's another Kickstarter that just came in. It's another one of those things that, like Sean says, I bid on this, like 5 or 6 centuries ago, and it just came in. So I don't know where they are in continuity. They may already be on issue 4 or something, but I read issue 1 and I enjoyed it. Again, post-apocalyptic, good art in it. I like where they're going, and independent. I mean, it doesn't get any more independent than someone who's putting together.
Have you seen that Lady Death statue that's on Kickstarter?
Mm-mm.
I want it so bad, but it's like the $300-$400. It's like ridiculous, but it's like beautiful. I'm serious. It's
I will
like
have
an
to check that
awesome-
out.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it,
looking pretty good.
Is it solicited by Palladio?
I don't even know who's putting it out. I'd have to look again, but it was on my homepage. Oh yeah, the benefits of having a girlfriend that likes to dress up.
Yeah.
She can cosplay your character.
Hello. That's awesome.
So yeah,
There you
she
go.
cosplays Isidora for me on a couple streams.
That is
and
awesome.
She had fun with it. Yeah.
Good for her.
We're gonna refine the costume a little bit because the plan eventually is to go to conventions with the book.
Nice.
And what better way to bring people to the table than to have a lovely cosplayer standing next to the table?
Booth
Amen.
tags. Back in the olden days, that's what they used to call it. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can't say that anymore. because
Inappropriate now.
It's inappropriate or racist or something. I don't know. You can't do that anymore.
I
Yeah,
think
so it's being put out by Coffin Collectibles.
That's Brian Palladio.
That's Polito.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I know why you like this statue. It's
They look good, dude.
Is it saucy?
I don't want to lick it.
I mean, you could say
Hello.
that, yeah, but I just think it's a very. God damn it! Can't I appreciate art, Scott? Can't I appreciate
Yeah.
art?
Come on, man.
If I get
Let's
maybe
appreciate some art together.
But yeah, the crimson one, that's what I want. And it's like $300 something,
Wow.
or $400 or something.
beautiful
But it's
statue. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
like a character for sure.
yeah. I mean
That is amazing sculpting there. Seriously.
yeah. I mean, it looks so good.
How much money have they made on that campaign?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
239,000.
637 backers.
Yeah.
They've made $250,000.
Yeah.
Wow. 71 days to go? Is that what it says?
Yeah. No hours. It's almost over.
Oh, 71
hours. Yeah.
Okay.
But like
I would say that's a
Statue.
success.
Brian still owes
Yeah.
me for pizza. You think you'd give me a statue?
yeah, but the lowest tier with the statue is 280, and it just goes up from there.
Wow.
Depending on which
I don't-
statue you want.
So is it limited edition? Are they just going to do this thing and then they're out?
Yeah, like this one here, the Scarlet Edition, says limited to 300,
Okay. All right.
serially numbered.
All right.
I think they're all like that. I think. Well, this one doesn't
How-
say it's serially numbered.
You know, this is one of those things where, like, someone might not even be willing to take a shot at it, 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And now, look, they're going to make $250,000 on it.
yeah. But I mean, if I had the money to blow on it right now and not trying to fund my own campain, I would hop on this. It's just out of my budget right now.
You got metal
But
cards
Yeah.
and shipping to cover.
But it's a beautiful statue.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's really cool, man. Okay, we're going to move on to our last little section here.
Are you sure?
Maybe. Maybes.
Gosh, that's gonna take.
All right, I'm
Bag
going
of holding?
that's
D&D,
just my
bag
grab
of
bag. That's just my grab bag. Like a bag of holding, you put everything in that. It's a bag of holding, man.
Yeah.
It's a D&D thing.
I do a D&D campaign every week, so I'm right up there with you. I got the reference.
Thank you. It's my grab bag. It's my grab bag thing. I don't have a gaming thing. I need to redo all of these because we've got a new logo. I am going to hand over the whole show to Scott for a minute because I got to go run to the bathroom. How about
Do
that?
what you got to do.
How about that?
You realize you took away my editor rights, so I can't really edit too much. So you better put us where.
All right. Well, I'm putting you up there, and then I'm going to head out.
So what am I supposed to talk about? What's
We're
this?
going to talk about the game Nemesis.
But you played it with us. You're supposed to be here.
I'll be back in a second.
You go TT, okay? And we're going to explain what
That's-
this game's about.
That's what I'm going to do, man.
Come on, Scott. This is your moment. You own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot.
All right, so me and Jen, yeah, there we go. Me and Jen are big time, well, maybe not the biggest time, but we waste a lot of time and money playing board games. one day we're going to be old together, and all we're going to have is board games, and that's going to be okay because we'll probably play them together. This board game, and to all the people that are probably about our age, and plus or minus 10 years or so, you're going to remember the movie Alien, Aliens, and then all the other Alien movies that preceded all those movies. But really, Alien and Aliens were the big kind of like horror sci-fi things, at least that I remember as a kid. I'm sure there might be others, but those are the big ones. I definitely remember Alien, that I was like petrified to ever watch it, and I still to this day haven't seen the whole thing because I was told I'd have nightmares because it was so creepy and weird. My parents were all
Jesus.
I did see Aliens, and I love that movie.
That's an action movie.
So I'm going to definitely try to get Jen to watch Aliens. But this is a board game.
I've not seen any of them.
She's not.
Sweet Jesus!
I'm the baby of the group.
She's still a young lady. Anyways.
My son is 27, and he has seen every Aliens and Predator movie, everything that...
Okay. I am older than 27, but I've not seen any of these movies.
How'd you know she's 29? Nemesis is a game by Awaken Realms, where it is, I guess the best way to describe it is a horror sci-fi board game. Mm-hmm. It's designed by, I can't pronounce his name, Adam Kwapinski. It's done by Awaken Realms, Rebel Studios. Anyways, here's the big instruction booklet on this. They don't have aliens, so to speak. The aliens are called intruders. In the game, if I can get some of these pieces, you can get some of the pieces out. Anyways, in the game, you take the role of different characters. There's the captain, the soldier. I'm kind of stringing this out at the same time, waiting for Dirk to finish TTing. Scout and
done.
There you go. He feels better now.
Oh my God!
In this game,
you have no idea.
Everybody takes a role of a character, and you awaken on the ship just as it got out of like traveling, across like hyperspace or whatever, and you wake up and you notice out of this hibernation that one of your co-workers is on the ground and is a corpse, and you're like, oh crap, what just happened? And so everybody left in the game. I'm going to try to show these miniatures the best I can. It's probably not going to do justice here because it's trying to focus on two people and everything.
Oh, there we go.
So there's like the captain model, and I'm going to show you one of the.
I just grabbed a few.
One of the intruders. This is, I believe, the queen.
Mm-hmm.
I know our light's not doing great, but these models are actually what's called a sun drop effect. So they actually have shading on them, so you don't have to worry about painting them if you're a terrible painter like me. And I just paid extra to get this. This game was on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, you take the role of all these characters, and you got to figure out a couple of things, and you have to decide how you want to work together. One, for you to even have a chance to win the game, the ship that you're on, which is the Nemesis, all the engines, or 2 out of the 3 engines, have to be working, and you randomize that at the beginning, so you don't know if the engines are working or not. The coordinates is a random card as well. You don't know if the ship's going to Venus, Mars, Mercury, or Earth. So if you need to try to get up to the cockpit where you can check the coordinates and decide if the ship's going the right place. What's unique about this game is, I said, it's kind of a co-op game. Like, you can choose to work together or not. At the beginning of the game, you get 2 cards with secret objectives. And for example, do you remember what yours was in the game we played with Dirk and Robert? For example, one of the games might be, if you're working, you have 2 objectives. One's a personal objective and one's a corporate. And you can look at these objectives, and you don't have to make a decision until the first intruder hits the board. When that first alien appears, you have to decide what's going to be your motivation from here on out. So at the very beginning, you're kind of working together no matter what, because when you enter a room, you make noise, and that alerts the intruder. It has some kind of complicated mechanics, or what feels like at first, and then once you play a few rounds, it really gets going and you understand the game very well. It is super thematic and I mean super thematic of like these movies. But when that alien shows up, you have to decide, and like your personal goal might be the ship has to reach Earth and you survive. Mm-hmm. Where somebody else could be like, they work for the corporation, you work for the corporation, and for whatever reason, you want player 2 to die. Well, she could be player 2, so secretly I want to get her in trouble and hope that she secretly dies, and then I have to survive. Mm-hmm. Throughout the game, when you fight the intruders, you could get a larva stuck in your body, just like in Alien. There's different areas of the ship where you can go, and if you notice that you get contaminated, you can go have surgery to have a larva removed. You also, it has like a deck building mechanic where you have a deck of cards, and those are based off like your character type. Like if you're the scout, you can do certain actions per turn, and as you get contaminated, you get these cards that, I don't know the best way to describe it. It has like this red looking stuff on it, if you want to look for one. It has this red stuff in it, and you slip it into like this little red film thing where you
it's like a filter,
like a red filter thing. It's pretty. I've seen it in other board games, so I'm not going to say it's super unique. But if you do not play board games regularly, you would think this is the coolest thing ever. But you get these contamination cards that really kind of gum up what you can do because they're useless cards to you. And part of achieving to see if you win, if your character just survives at the end of the game, you have to actually go scan these contamination cards to see if you are infected or not. And then you could still die even though you made it off the ship through the escape pod, or maybe you just got into hibernation and you took the ship back to Earth and stuff. Dirk, am I over talking here?
Let me get a few comments.
Here's what one of those cards looks like.
Yeah, it says contaminate, and then you put that down into the little screen,
and then you put this card. Yeah, if I can see it here. Put this card.
I know what do you know what that reminds me of? I don't know if I'm going to be old. Jen's not going to know this. Maybe Dirk might. But the Gen 1 Transformer toys.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You use it at little red strip.
That's right. That's right.
Do you see how like there's letters on this?
They were that was around in the 80s.
Yeah.
For sure.
So if you had got a card like this and you looked at the letters and it said infected, you're in trouble because you're going to die no matter what at the end of the game.
And you also may not know until the end of the game what's going on with it too. I mean, you have to scan yourself to get that card or whatever.
So in typical fashion, when
let me get a few comments out for just a second. Let me reset here. Anthony is telling us that Twisted Lords Con is in Oklahoma City from the 23rd to the 25th in July, coming up at the Reed Center. If you guys are interested in that, make sure that everyone knows about that. And is that twistedlordscon.com, by the way, Anthony? He says playing board games is not a waste of time or money. Did you say that was earlier, that it was a waste of time or money?
Some people might view it as that, but
Walt says, Scott said TT.
I did.
Russell said, some may say that I'm a terrible dad, but I exposed my son to the Aliens movies at age 10. That's about when I watched it. He loved them, so it makes me an awesome dad. So there you go. Walt says Transformers fan here, and he remembers those. And then there's that's what I wanted you to do. You did it. there's the link to twistedlordscon.com if you want some more information about that. Oh, look at this. We got something else too. Tabletop.events, conventions, Twisted Lords Con 2021.
Last tabletop game we bought, coincidentally, was a Cthulhu game.
Really?
Yeah. It's a pandemic Reign of Cthulhu.
Oh, okay.
Which is actually pretty fun. Yeah, it's pretty fun to get. It's a pandemic line of games. It's pretty fun to play.
Yeah, we sold quite a bit of those at the store. So,
let me say a few things about kind of my impression of the game. I haven't played as many. I played many board games over the years, but I certainly haven't played as many board games as Scott. I really enjoyed the narrative nature of this game. Scott put out a post a day after we played this thing, and kind of told the story based on what we did, and I think that it played out very much like a movie. I mean, it built. I mean, this was. Some of it is random and some of it was intentional, but it started out with little larvas that we were fighting off, and we ended up with, before we were all kind of going to wrap this thing up, the queen comes out into in one room and rips Scott in half, and then we try to get into the final room. Jen and I try to get into the final room so that we can get into the hibernation chamber and try to get home safely. And I got killed too. And so the only person that made it out, was Jen. And that would have played out as a pretty interesting end of the movie. If you were looking at that sort of stuff, the fact that you can kind of choose your motivations makes it multi-layered. It might be your motivation to make sure that everyone in the crew dies except for you. It might be your motivation that one person dies, or it could be something very, basic, like you have to, activate something that someone else doesn't or whatever. You can kind of choose your own adventure here. You can choose to participate with the rest of the group, or you can choose to screw the rest of the group. And I think there's no way to know what's happening without following up. Like, did someone just go break the engines? Well, you got to go find whether the engines are broken or not.
I mean, that could be some character's motivation. Make sure the ship doesn't get home.
Right, exactly. Or you could go up to the bridge and you could send it, instead of to Earth, you could send it off to another location. And the only way for you to know that is to go check. So you have some poison pills that are in the group, which I think makes it very interesting. And it's dark. It's very dark. And I had a blast playing this game. I mean, I really enjoyed. It helps a lot that it was you're playing Alien in this thing, or Aliens, and I really like that. Anyway, I really enjoyed this game. I thought, I'm looking forward to playing it again for sure, and I can also see how there are multiple, even with the version that we played, but Scott has a bunch of additional, add-ons. Where, like you said, that there was a deal where at the end of your game you can dock a ship with the ship that you just played on, and then play with a whole new round of people.
Yeah, there's expansions for. There's one called Aftermath, which is the setting is basically like one movie ends, and then you just restart the game with the ship exactly in the same state that it was in. It's a crew coming in, going, "What the hell just happened here?" And everything, the people who are dead and everything else, and you take new characters and you go on, with your mission and stuff. It adds traits to it, to the characters and stuff. I mean,
each of the characters has their own little abilities, which makes them kind of interesting.
Yeah, they all have their unique little decks too. Their little card decks that give abilities and other things.
It's not just a couple little things. I mean, like the way that you play the game changes with each character, and that's independent of your motivations.
I mean, so in our 4-player game, and not to get into details, if somebody really wants to read the whole story, they can go to my Facebook. I posted.
He laid it out like a script.
For me to go out and write something like that, it must have been fun, because I'm not a very good writer, and I didn't have Dirk or Jen around to proofread it before I posted it, so I was definitely scared to even post it.
I think it read well.
But it read okay. Every time we play this game, we always name our characters just for the fun of it, for that cinematic, theme of it all. Robert was playing as well. There's a scientist character. Robert's character actually survived too, but he had the contamination cards in his deck, so therefore he could have been infected with a larva. And at the end of the game, we had to check the status of those cards. And Robert ended up dying, which killed Jen's chances, even though she survived.
Yeah.
Nobody won that game because
she lost the terms of her winning.
Yes, my objective was for me and one other person to survive at the end, and everybody else died except for me. So I survived, but I did not win.
This is a game that's very easy to die in.
Well, and also, what's unique about the game, after you play a round where everybody gets to play around until they're out of actions, there's these event cards that are random big deals. Because I played this game multiple times. I've told the guys, I've never been in so much control where we were handling stuff. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we got a card that, like, 7 fires broke out.
Us all.
and if 8 mechanical malfunctions happen, the shit blows up. And if there's 8 fires, the shit blows up. So we had to change our mission and go start putting out these fires to clear out the way. And like Dirk was saying, I was like, we have a shot to go into the Hybertorium. I'm the soldier, I'll go in there. Orange went in there, and I misrolled on this dice for noise. The queen came right in. Her first strike was a thing that said, if this hits you, you're dead. And I mean, just gutted my character.
Just like that.
It was funny because everybody...
It's right out of the movie, man.
And everybody else just goes, oh shit, because I was the strongest guy to handle the aliens. Right. And then they had
the queen just went, shh.
It was crazy. To follow this up, and I'll try to sum up really quick because I haven't posted this. We played the, quote, follow-up movie. We let Jen play with Captain Malik
again. It's cool that you did it that way.
And we took some of the new characters, and Gary randomly got the bounty hunter, who he named Moses, and then I had the convict. So we came up with the storyline that the convict got caught by Moses, and the captain had to go escort them back to Earth for, like treason and stuff like this. And we came up with all these storylines. It was so unique, Dirk, that I wish somebody was there, because the convict starts with handcuffs as one of his special weapons, because every character starts with their own special weapons. And I only had one hand to hold things with because I'm handcuffed. The little miniature is the same way. Only one hand is open for him to, like, hold a weapon and stuff. And the convict has all these, like, little sneaky things he can do. He can go, like, run into a room and shut the door behind him and stuff like that. And immediately, thematically, I asked Gary, I said, why don't you give me, because the bounty hunter holds the keys. I said, why don't you give me these keys and we'll work together? And Gary said, I ain't doing that. I grabbed the
I love that he...
You can grab the dead body that's there at the very beginning, because throughout the game you can go collect eggs or collect bodies of the aliens or bodies of people who die and take them to the lab. And if you scan them, you come up with, like, weaknesses for the aliens, so they'll become
helps
easier.
You fight them. Yeah.
So I ran off with a body. I didn't know Gary's motivation in this game the body was a friend of his, and he had to get the body back to Earth. That was his motivation. Mine was just to survive, which was perfect. And Jennifer was working for the corporation. She just wanted to get the ship to I think Mars, and somebody else had to survive too. And anyways, we played it out perfect because Gary wouldn't give me the keys. Well, every room I went through, I hoarded stuff, and he needed medical supplies and bullets. And he tried to play hardball with me because you're allowed to trade stuff. And he goes, I'll trade you the keys for these things. And I was like, I'm not wasting my actions on that. And he said, well, I'm not wasting my actions on my turn. So he followed me, and I took the last bit of medical supplies. So it forced him into him trading with me and me getting my way for the keys. And I locked the door behind him, jumped in the escape pod. It became super thematic too. And Gary was at one point, Gary was the only one left on the ship, and he played like 3 turns by himself, trying to carry this body into the hibernation because he wanted to save his friend. And it was like really thematic. And he went out with he was killing aliens, but they were damaging him, and he went out with a blaze of glory. So the captain survived, even though she didn't win. The convict actually won the game because he made it through all this. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have like the third and final movie, and I'm hoping that maybe you and Sean can both be there and experience this.
I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Yeah, if you like board games and you like aliens, I mean, this is a must-have.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
I don't really care for the Aliens franchise. I like Aliens, that one movie. I didn't care for the third one. I don't care.
You've offended Sean's sensibilities.
I don't care. I'm like, I just don't care. But love this board game so much that if you're a fan, you probably should own this board game. Anyways, I know I can talk forever about board games, so I'll shut up now.
I looked up the complete game, the Nemesis, and I guess all the extra Kickstarter stuff. They want $580 for that.
You get two games. The other game hadn't come out yet. There's one where there's a complex like on Mars that gets invaded by these aliens. And yes, I paid a lot for
Scott
it.
put together how much money he spent on these dumb things, and
This looks like
it's a great game.
Looks like 3 games and then
It's not
3
like
companions.
it's not like buying Chutes and Ladders.
I went all in on it. I paid the extra for the what they call the sun drop. And yeah, we got different aliens, so now we can one of them's more, to me, reminds me of one's psychological, so it messes with your brain, and the other ones, are like carnivores where they
That's a lot of boxes.
life out of any raw meat or anything like that. But yeah, that's probably what I did, Sean. Don't tell everybody how much I spent.
Hey,
Anyways,
you got to do what you got to do, man.
some people have drugs. I have board games.
This looks fantastic. I mean, honestly, this is gorgeous.
The artwork in the game and on the individual cards, the characters, all the supporting material is really well done. The sculpting for the figures are great. The aliens look great.
I want to show this one last thing, and then I keep saying I'll not talk anymore, but I want to talk some more. So
Oh my god!
I also got these books called The Untold Stories that came
Oh
with
yeah, okay, that's cool.
They're in the format of what looks like comic books.
Yep.
And they are for a while, but eventually you get to a place where it stops, and that's where your mission picks up. You can set up the board how it tells you,
Yeah.
and you can play a full co-op. So Jennifer really likes co-op games.
I do too.
I don't mind them, but I
I
like
do too.
I like that trader mechanic in them. Jen would be fine
I do
with
too.
but
I'm the same way.
this gives you scenarios where you can read a comic, get to a stopping point, play it out, and I guess if you win, if you really want to be thematic, then you go on to the next little mission. And they got some good, good art and stuff in it.
Yeah,
in there too.
it looks like painted artwork and stuff. It's cool.
It's very unique. We haven't got to this point yet. I mean, we don't have all the time in role-play board games, and when you have hundreds of board games, it's hard to play them all. But this is a game that I think we're definitely going to get our money's worth out of for sure. So, and we're going on a getaway this weekend for board games, and I'm hoping to get 2 or 3 games of this in there too. So,
All right. Well, since we're at the 2-hour mark, I'm going to go right straight to the promote part of the promo time, and because we have a guest here tonight, I'm going to let GA start that. Just tell them where to go to find your stuffs.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, Dirk's put up the links for Isidora and Immortal Chains campaign over there on Kickstarter. Please back that if you haven't. And at the very least, like I tell everybody, not everyone can back comic books, not everyone can afford it. I get it. What's just as important is spreading the word. If you have a social media account, friends put it in front of people's eyes. That is just as valuable as people.
Man, that's a really good point.
Is putting it in,
People don't understand how important it is that people just like things and comment on them and share it to create some energy. That is so important, especially when you're an independent.
The other thing is my channel, The Great Council. You just go search on YouTube with the E, not an A. Great Council. Once you see the logo, everyone should be aware of which one it is. But yeah, it's my channel, The Great Council. Tuesday through Friday, me and my co-host Yellow do a show called The Midday Mashup at 3 Eastern Time. Then we do our D&D campaign on Thursday nights, and sometimes we sprinkle in some other stuff along the way as well. And yeah, that's my
stuff too.
That's my website. I should do more with my websites, but I don't. I have the GA Lungaro one, and I also have a Rubicon Comics one, which I used. But the Rubicon Comics one I put up more for business reasons, but I needed a footprint somewhere. But yeah, so those are the websites. But yeah, the YouTube channel and a Kickstarter. Please subscribe, back, share, all that other good stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome. Also on Twitter, very active.
Yes,
on
Twitter.
For sure. Want to get that up there. Scott, let's go with you, man.
you can go follow me over at you can go to bothdown.com, where I do a Blood Bowl podcast. I think we just released episode 121. It's getting to the point where I can't remember what number we're at, but we're still trucking along after 10 years, or almost 10 years now. And you can find me over there. You can also find me on Twitter at Real Scott Prime. You can find me at Facebook. Just search Scott Prime. If I try to post when we play board games or do other little crazy things. I want to make a point about GA's Kickstarter. When we were talking about the Lady Death statue, if you scrolled there, you could see that they had one comic for $25, and and his is 10 without shipping. I mean,
Yeah.
as a guy who loves comic books, and I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings. The hardest thing for me to do when I back a Kickstarter comic is when I see that shipping price added into like already maybe paying $10 or $15. So I really
It
appreciate
can make things more expensive, quite a bit more expensive.
bundling that together a lot. So I'm just telling you from a guy who looks at that stuff, but sometimes you want to support the little guy, but you don't know. You get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, no, I completely understand.
And I love my and you said
After fulfilling it the first time, I knew what the shipping is going to cost, and it's like, you know what, these Gemini mailers, people who are just backing one book, I can put the price.
I mean, I go to comic conventions. I see somebody selling a book for $5-6. It's easy, but when you go like $10-12 plus shipping, you kind of go like, well. And we've been burnt on a few that we've tried. I mean, like, we're happy we support them and they live their dream, but there's some books that we've done it for, and we ain't gonna do it again. So
yeah.
But anyway, that's where you can find me, and I think that's really great, honestly. I meant to mention that earlier, that you're not charging shipping for that tier, because
it's $10 to get a comic in your hands, folks. I'd see single issues for $20 or $30 in a lot of places, or more.
And right now, with the stretch goals, you're getting the comic, you're getting an 8x10 George print, you're getting a little puzzle, you're getting 4 cards as of right now. So there's a whole bunch of stuff all bundled, and the PDFs. There's PDFs for issue 1 and 2 as well with that.
Yeah. All right, Sean, you're up, buddy.
Same thing as every time. You can find me at rankingstudios.com. Please feel free to check it out. Let me know what you think. You can contact me through there. It's Sean at Ranking Studios. You can also check us out on Facebook /Ranking Studios. Again, feel free to stop by, drop us a line, tell us you love us, tell us you hate us, just talk to us. We're lonely.
Wow. Sean has been doing some logos and stuff. I still haven't debuted the logo that he did for me, but it's awesome. It's super awesome. I will show that soon. All right. I'm going to talk about my stuffs. Go to Ranking Studios. Check it out there. You can also see me Twitter at Dark Hooper Plus. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok, I can't believe, but it's there. And you can check me out at facebook.com/Dark Hooper Artworks. I am currently working on some package design illustrations for a Japanese company, which is amazing to me. So that's pretty cool. But if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then check me out on one of those things. There it is. All right, folks, we are going to wrap this show up. Does anyone want to say anything before we get out?
Yeah, thanks for coming back on again, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me again, as usual. It's much appreciated.
You're seriously welcome all the time. You have great insight. You're always a great guest, and we want to see you go over $10,000 on this account.
I would love it. A friend of mine who's also a creator, Nasser Rabadi, we joke around, saying they like that Soy Rage card. He does a show with Soy Rage, and we were just joking around on Twitter just now. We're like, he should shave his eyebrow because he has like a unibrow. And we're like, you know what? That's a $10,000 stretch goal. We hit $10,000. Nasser's going to shave his eyebrow.
You're going to shave it. It's a good way of doing that.
I've often said there's a basketball player. I'm not going to name names. There's a basketball player who has a very prominent unibrow.
It's his thing.
And
it's his thing. He owns it.
My thought was if they made it to the finals and they lost, he needed to shave that.
Or at least go up the middle.
Get the tweezers out.
At least go up the middle.
They didn't make it though. So.
They did not. All right. Well, once again, thanks to GA, and you're always welcome back, man.
Thank you.
If there's anything we can do to help you out, we want to do it. And good luck on your campaign. It was cool to see Scott and Jen in the same box there. Thanks for all of the comic suggestions and stuff. Sure do appreciate that. Thanks also to Sean for all of his contributions. and for hanging out with us. So, and also for all the people who chimed in today and were part of the broadcast. We do seriously appreciate it. So that's it, folks. Until next week, this is Dirk Cooper saying, dream hard.